Today we'll be looking at home educating, stroke homeschooling, because different countries call it different things. We've got another home educator who's been educating for a while, who's been homeschooling for a while, and she's going to share her journey with us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so very much for accepting the offer to come to discuss your journey with us. I am so happy for you accepting that. Okay, introduce yourself and tell us where you come from, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Tanya. I am located in Maryland, and we have been homeschooling for 10 plus years. I am a wife, 6 children, and my children vary in ages, all the way from 33 all the way down to 12, about to be 13. It's very exciting. All my children have had different experiences in different learning spaces. In our family, our children have had different experiences in different learning spaces, and it's very exciting. Thank you for having me to share our journey and how this will and has affected our family. And we hope we can encourage other families to do it.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And once again, thank you for coming and share the experience so that more people who in any doubt would feel comfortable enough to take the plunge, because I think that's the problem we're having right now with the challenge, where some people want to home educate or homeschool their children, but the fear of not doing it right or feel that they're not good enough because they're not a teacher. So what would you say to someone who say they want to do the homeschooling, but don't feel that they're good enough to do it?
What I would say to a person is relax. You don't have to know all the things. There are a lot of tutors. You will learn alongside your child. So there's nothing that you can't do, or that there is a way for you to accomplish the goal of getting the resources for you and your children. So just take the plunge. Take the plunge. You'll love the journey. The journey has its ups and downs, but you can do this. You can actually do this.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you tell us about your journey on, the homeschooling journey?
Wow. So my homeschooling journey, actually, my husband always wanted me to homeschool. Okay, so we are a blended family, but my husband, that was always his thing. So when I made the decision and I'm like, babe, I'm just gonna do it. And he was like, finally, okay, so let's just do it. And we just took the plunge. I'm a first generation homeschooler. Like I said, I have older children, and I have a daughter who I have a daughter who homeschools my grandson. So now I'm the first, she's the second. The journey has been beautiful, and it has had its challenges. But we're here for each other. And we built a homeschool community amongst homeschooling families and non-homeschooling families, because everything is a learning experience. Everyone can give an input into life experiences. So we take those moments, we embrace them, and we take what's for us, and we leave what's not. And it's just been working. It's been a blessing. It's really been working for us.
Thank you. What are some of the obstacles or barriers you have faced? Because one of the things you said to me before the show, that you have not, your child, the one you're homeschooling fully now, have never been to school.
Yeah, so my youngest, she'll be 13 in a few months. She's never been to school. So for her, that's not really a challenge, because this is all she knows, right? This is her life. and I'm just going through life learning how I learn. And my family are just acting as guides, and that's how we like to see ourselves, as guides along the journey, specifically her journey, because each child that we have, they all have a different journey. And we are guides, guiding them along their journey. We embrace them individually and their individual needs. So we're very in tune with the needs of each child and the things that come along. And we're very open. So my husband and I, we're very open with communication with our children. They are open to us in communicating their needs, their desires, their wants. So we like to say that our home is the place where we can incubate them, and they're here being incubated, growing and becoming. So when they step out and go into global society, they'll feel more confident and feel secure in themselves, in who they are going out into the global society. But for my 13-year-old, this is her life. This is all she knows. She has friends in the community. She's been in dance. She's been in groups. So the socialization aspect, which a lot of people are very concerned with. She can socialize with children. She can socialize with grown-ups. So we've opened the space up and taken her into community where she can actually learn how to be social, not just children, like children her age social, but when she goes to the store, she knows how to interact with adulting. Not that she is an adult, but the adults in our society. So she knows how to handle her finances. She knows how to conduct herself in different settings, which she had to practice how to do at an early age to make her feel confident. And so now, this is her life. She's very well-rounded, and she expresses her needs to us, her likes, her desires, things she doesn't like, things she is curious about. So we, like I said, we have a lot of conversation, in our home. So that's been very helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that. What are the benefits of homeschooling over mainstream? Because you had children that's gone into mainstream, so you know, and now you're home educating. So what do you think are the benefits of you actually homeschooling your child to opposed to, when the others were in the mainstream? What are the benefits?
The benefits for us in homeschooling our children, we can actually see, we can use all our senses to be in tune with what is going on with this human that we are growing with. So we can see, we're more in tune with, we can hear her conversation, he or she. We can say, okay, maybe you can, we don't really like to say, well, you're weak in this area, because we don't like to use that type of wording, but maybe she needs a little more tweaking in that. So we can actually see that thing, and we can see where the quote unquote gaps are, and we can offer resources and experiences to fill in the gaps for better understanding. Now, for a child who possibly is going into a different setting, public, private, mainstream setting, you don't really get to see those things. It's a group of them, right? So with educators in those systems, they're trying to figure out those things in a group of 20 plus children. And the shift of children happens so often. And now it may have been this child, I saw this in the beginning of the quote unquote school year, but are you seeing the adjustments or that need to be done throughout the school year, specifically on that child, right? Do you have the time? Do you have the space? Do you have the energy? Are you equipped enough with your education to say, okay, I can pinpoint that? Or are you able to come outside of your teacher profession to say, mentally, emotionally, maybe I need to tap in to that child more? So then when it comes to the academia aspect, now I have them because they trust me.
Mm-hmm.
Now the academia aspect, we can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but with home educating in this setting, I'm in tune with that. I can see when she's having a good moment and a not so good moment. So we don't say you're having a good day or you're having, like, we don't say you're having a bad day. You may have had a bad moment in that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we can adjust. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're feeling emotionally something else, right? So now we need to have conversation because relationship is more important to me than the academia.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to tune in to relationship, because when they get older and, for example, they may run into some trouble or they can't figure out something, I want them to be open enough to say, okay, let me go ask mom and dad. If they're in trouble, oh, let me call my mom and dad, as opposed to saying, please don't call my mom or dad, right? Because we've had open enough conversation. You trust me enough. I trust you. And I'm here with you on your journey to bring out the best in you at this stage that you are in your life. Now it's going to be adjusting as they get older, right? Because growth brings about new knowledge in hoping. So sometimes as you grow and you obtain new knowledge, there's a shift that has to take place. So I have to be in tune when the shift happens. So I can say, okay, you're mature enough to understand this now. So now I can move it from here to here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you. It's interesting because as you were talking, I'm actually visualizing those things, because I'm saying, oh my goodness, that is so true. Because in the classroom, you don't have time to navigate the emotions, etc. Because there's a lot going on in these children, because the behavior is all over the place. But you know, the behavior is not the child. There's so many other factors going on that is triggering those behavior. But you don't have time to peel the onions to find out what's going on in there. You're just looking at the onion skin.
Right.
You know, that's the thing about it.
Exactly. It may just be a hunger issue.
Yeah.
Right. It may be something as small as, and I don't want to downplay hunger, but it could be you just didn't eat breakfast.
Exactly.
Right. So it could be that you're just cranky because you didn't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're moving through the day and now you're not going to eat another 4 hours from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be those things. So now your behavior is coming off because there's that thing, as far as even just the hunger that's affecting all this that's going on. Right. So, but as an educator, it's so much that you have to do. You know, and educators in themselves have to do. You just lose. You can't do it all.
It is true. It is true, because you know, you're just losing the factor that, you know, you haven't had breakfast, and it's like one part of my brain saying, yes, I must tap into this child, but something else happened with this other child and I forgot the child A, and I've lost child A. All I'm seeing is behavior, and I forgot I had to tap into the whole child. Instead, I'm tapping into, oh, you know, your behavior is an issue here. So I forgot what might have triggered the behavior because I've been called by another child to do something else. And it's so very true. Whereas as a homeschooler, you are actually focusing on 1 or 2 children. You know, if you have 6, that's fine, but it's still a small group.
It is.
Unlike my 30 children or my 28 children I have to deal with. And in between this mix of 28, there's some of them that have learning challenges, which I have to try to support.
Right. And you as the adult, whether it's you're parenting or you're the guardian in the homeschool setting, or you're the actual educator in that academic space, there are times where you're not feeling it, right? So you have to figure out how you're going to navigate you in all of this that you still need to do. And sometimes it's like in home education, you can just shut it down for the day. You know, you just can say, look, we're just going to go outside and play. We're just going to tap into nature. We can take a nature walk. We can just go do skating. We can jump rope. We can go bike riding, because sometimes we need to decompress. And some days we're focused on this, but some days that moment is needed.
Yeah.
That's a bonding moment, right? A bonding and a connection moment that we still can say, this is part of that life experience that we may never get back. So it doesn't always look like, oh my goodness, if we're not doing the work aspect of it, that we haven't achieved the goal. If I can connect with you, my goal has been achieved. If we sit down and we cuddle, if it's just a cuddle day, my goal has been achieved, because it's about being present in the moment with these young people that we may not get back again. So it's the connection that homeschooling allows to take place. Let me say more connection that homeschool allows to take place than when your child is outside of the home.
Yeah, thank you for that. Oh my goodness. Because in terms of the connection, I would love to have more connection with my students, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time to connect with each of my 29 or 30 children.
Right.
You know, because just think the time, because a lot of the schools, the concentration is on academic, is on the, you know, the contents, more than the connection. There's sometimes, you know, you might have a child for the whole year and you still don't know that child. I was saying to my colleague yesterday, there's one child we've been teaching, and I know that child has some learning challenges, but I started the school in January, and I said to her, I said, I'm really concerned about this child. I said, because I'm not too sure if there is anything he's taking in. And I'm saying to her, so what are your thoughts? She said, well, English is not his first language. English is his second or third language. So I'm saying to her, do you think he's taking in anything when we're talking about? Because I, you know, when he writes for me, he doesn't like writing. So I'm looking at that, and I said to her yesterday, I said, you know what, we need to find an alternative, because there I am having my, you know, my home ed hat on, right? Thinking we need to find an alternative for this child. I said, because it's not working. I said, because when he finished this course, right? I said, when he finishes, he's in year 10 now. I said, and he's going in year 11 in September. So which means that in year 11, that's when he does his GCSE for exit, right? And I'm saying to her, so what happens? What would he come out with? And I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's looking at me, and she probably thinks I'm going mad, right? I'm saying to her, because I said, I'm really concerned about this child, because what is he going to come out with? What would he have? And she said, you know, I really don't know. I said, has he been assessed? I said, because there's more going on with this child. There's issues there. I said, this child needs to be assessed. And then she looked in the book, and she looked on the computer, and she said, he should have been assessed. I said, we need to follow this up. I said, because this is concerning me here. So this is one child, because this child doesn't engage in the class. Could you imagine how many more children that I am not picking up because I've just started this school in January, and I'm just humming on in some of the children that are not talking to me, and we don't have that connection. Something
Right.
there's something need to be done. Whereas if those children were being home at, the parents would identify the issues.
Yeah. Now it's great that you brought that up, because I do have my 20-year-old, when she was in school, in public school, she was, but all her life she's been the quiet, right? She can do the academia, but she's always been, I don't want you to call on me. I really don't want to talk too much in class. I really don't really want to engage. And come to find out, it was a processing disorder that was taking place, right? So a lot of times you find in the schoolish setting, the educators in conversation with the children, and they're asking questions, and you have some kids that are just like pop, 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 and they can answer and da, da, da. And then you have the kids, then you see kids that are more reluctant. They really don't even want to engage. It's no behavior issues. There's nothing else that you can see going on. It's just, they're just there kind of pretty much, right? But for my daughter, it's a processing delay, right? They hear you saying what you're saying. That may not be their learning style. So how you're bringing across the information, they may be hearing it, but it's not making a connection in the way that their brain works. So we think that something is going on, when really I have a child here where I have to learn this child and learn how this child learns. So now I need to learn how to reach that child, right? Because yes, there may be something going on. And can we test them over and over and over again? But what if they're not great testers, right? So then we'll think, oh my gosh, they're not this and they're not that, like something that just compiles on and on and on. When we bring it down to, they really may not process the information like we think or we see other children, right? So in a homeschooling setting, when she came home, I had to literally learn how she learns. And I had to figure out how to present information that made the connection for her. So in this setting, I'm able to do that, right? As opposed to, you just got to keep the day going, right? And now we're at this part of this child's academia and what is going on, right? So sometimes you will find situations like that. And as a homeschooler, the writing aspect, like you had said, in regards to that child, the writing aspect wasn't always there. But if I have a conversation with her in regards to what it is I'm trying to get her to write, she understands, because she can have a conversation with me about it. It's just the writing aspect that may be a quote unquote delayed, because she didn't understand how to put those things in words the way that she thought it should be communicated. But I want her to communicate the way is comfortable for her to be confident, to be able to communicate herself, where she feels secure and safe to be able to communicate her thoughts with me. So it's not always a writing aspect. It might be, I just want you to have a communication, right? So it may be, I just need to pull him aside, he or she aside, and say, hey, let's just have a conversation about blah, 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 what I wanted you to write about. And let's just have a conversation about it. And once that child gets comfortable in trusting you, that you are giving them this space to do it their way, then you know, oh, this child understands what I'm trying to say. They just have, not everybody can write it. right? So it's different avenues that we can see and how we can pull the best part of them out of them. And then we can ask them questions. Is it that you may not understand how to write your thoughts? So how about we just, have a connection about that, right? Because that may be it, but we don't know. It's funny that you made mention of that because it literally happened to one of my children.
Yeah, thank you for that. You know what is so interesting in all of that as well, because I feel that within the education system, we need to do more to look at alternative ways by which these children are giving us the information that we need for them to do a test, right? So if it's a situation where they could only speak it, we should encourage them to speak it.
Yes.
But that is not encouraged within the education system. And it drives me mad because even that same child we were talking about, I'm saying to my colleague, I say, another thing is, his handwriting, I can't even understand it because I have a pile of marking to do this weekend. And his, because they did a mock exam, and his piece of work is part of it. And I say to her, I say, oh my goodness. I say, he's written a little bit more than he did a few months ago. I said, but I can't understand it.
Right. And
So,
sometimes there's the language barrier.
Yeah.
Right? Because we have to also take that into consideration in this situation. There may be a language barrier. This child knows a lot of languages, and trying to get them to understand English. English is a weird language, right? There's so many rules to this language, and that may be a barrier of writing the language. Speaking is different, but when it comes to writing it, that may be a barrier. But if I saw that you did this at this point, but I did see you progress to this point, I'm taking that as a win.
Yeah.
You may not be where academia says you should be, but I'm looking at these steps and I'm going to celebrate you for that, because that is a win. And sometimes they just need to know that I'm winning in this thing. Like, I don't need who has it all together. Even when they hand us that diploma, we don't have it all together, because we have children that are moving on to higher academia, and we can ask them, so what are you going to do? Or what do you want to be? And they're like, I don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, okay, you don't know, but you really don't have to know. Like, I'm at the age that I'm at, and I'm just recently knowing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't ask a 17, 18, 19-year-old, do you have it all together? At this point, it's unrealistic for me to even expect you to have it all together at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That is so true. It's like it's like a few days ago, I was thinking about myself and I say to myself, okay, I'm an academic, yes, but then I realized that, there are other things I want to do in my life. And I just realized that, oh my goodness, I want to do fashion.
Right.
And, and years ago, I wanted to do fashion, but I end up in education. And I said, oh my goodness, at this age and stage, I'm not beginning to realize.
Now you just realize it. Like years and years ago, people would ask me, so what do you like? And I'm like, and I'm in my 30s, but like, I don't even know what I like.
Exactly.
Right? Because I've been so programmed to just put all those things behind me, and like, I have to keep going on in life. But now when I'm working beside my children, and I see like when she has something she's really engaged in, she just takes it by the reins and she deep dives. That is so encouraging for me. Like, I gained so much inspiration from her in seeing how she moves in life. That's like, you can have that for yourself too.
Exactly.
You can like what you like, and it's okay that it's different,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it takes you back to your childhood and what did the little girl in you enjoy.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
so that awakens that little girl of joy inside of me. Like, even though I'm at the age I am, but it's bringing forth the joy, because in the systems, you suppress all the things and they're being suppressed. Like, you can't really deep dive in your passions because this is what the curriculum says, and this is how you have to do it. And you can't go further than this. And if you're at 6th grade, we can't teach you 8th grade or 10th grade, even though your brain, your mathematical side of your brain may be on that level. We have to keep it here because this is the setting you're in, right? But in home education, if my child is mathematically on a 12th grade math level, I need to cater to that. If she's on a 7th grade grammar level, then I cater to that, right? So, and we just work and we keep building. Not every quote unquote level is going to be the same. But that's when you are really in tune with the children to know this is where this child is. It's not that the child is below, above, or any of the things, because in the system, at least here, they have your child is below, on grade level, or above grade level, right? That's how they word it here. But in home education, that shouldn't even be a thing. Why is that a thing? I'm going to meet you where you are, and then we're going to build. If we have to revisit a thing, we just have to revisit a thing until you master it and you feel confident in doing that thing. It doesn't matter how long it takes, right? Because we have life to live. So we're just going to keep it expanding. There's not one curriculum that fits all. But we'll get into that.
That's so beautiful though, because so often, even at school, I keep on saying to my colleague, we need to meet, in order for us to do justice with our students, we need to meet them where they are. Yeah. Because there's no point in we saying, okay, they should be at this level because they're doing the GCSE, whereas this child is not even start on the step of the GCSE. We need to meet them where they are, or else that's when we get them feeling that they're not good enough because they are following something that they're not yet ready. And we are saying that you need to be there instead of we meeting them where they are and then building them up to be where we want them to be. Right. And that's the danger I'm seeing in school all the time, because what we are doing is we're not meeting them where they are. We are saying, okay, you need to be at C. So therefore you need to be at C. So therefore that child is suffering so much stress and anxiety because the child know that they're not at C. So whereas if we were meeting them where they are, we would be helping them to get at C at a very fast pace, because we are acknowledging them and celebrating where they are. And that's the issue I'm finding with school quite a lot now.
Yeah, and even with that, there has to be an accountability at home, right? You can't, even though we have children in these alternative learning spaces, public school, private school, charter schools, there has to be an accountability at home where you are in tune with where your child is, right? So if you know that your child may need additional help in these areas, as the parent, guardian, person in the home, you have to put in that work to do that for the child. You say you love the child, you want what's best for the child, so you have to do the work. As parents, as guardian, we can't keep putting this on educators. That's just a no-no. That should not be a thing. I'm fussing with school systems to say, why is it that my child doesn't? That shouldn't even be a thing. It should be, how can we come together and do this? What do you see? And I'm going to show you what I saw. So now how can we put that together to bring out the best in this child? Because we're doing, it's a team effort here. I'm not against you, you're not against me. We're pairing this education, this academia space together to create the best living being of this person. That's what we want, to be in society. Why isn't that, a thing? Right? I don't know. We're not enemies, we're allies.
Yeah.
To create better human beings.
It is so very true. What you're saying is like, I'm visualizing that, I'm thinking, that is so very true. Because you see, schools actually are programming children to compete. And I'm saying to them, you should not be competing, you should be collaborating. Because the more you collaborate, the more you get from each other. I say competition is such a negative thing. All it allows you to do is stand on each other and not support each other because you feel that, you're better than. And it really is.
I love it. I love that you said that, because then when they go out in society and they, for example, apply for a job, and one of the questions is, how do you work as a team? But you haven't had team building skills.
Yeah.
Where did that come into play? Because we have to, in the global society, we're better working together than we are individually. So we have to embrace the togetherness, the collaboration, even when it comes into the classroom setting. It shouldn't be, okay, you work over there, you work over there, don't look over there, don't do this. No, I'm going to pair you up in threes, and I want you all to work together to globally solve this problem. And I want you five to work together to globally solve this problem, because your thought is different than their thought, and their thought and their experience. So now you're bringing experience, you're bringing thoughts, you're bringing know-hows together to globally solve an issue, because that's what we're looking for. And when societies, we're looking for global thinkers, right? Critical thinkers, people who can think, not just regurgitate information. That's not going to help you. I need a thinker. So in this space, for our home learning, my children, if they ask us a question, our question back to them is, have you used your resources first? Because I have to teach you how to learn. And the way that you learn is to utilize resources. How many resources? Because you can't just come to me if you only use one resource or two resources, because you need to be up to at least 3, 4, 5 before you actually come to me. And even when you come to me, I'm not giving you the answer. I'm asking you questions so you can see and hear yourself figure it out loud. And now we can have a conversation. And now you just figured out your own answer to your own question. I didn't give you the answer, because now you should feel empowered that I've done that.
Yeah.
And no one can take that from me. No one can take that from our children. When you have the knowing, you just know. And I need people around me that will challenge my knowing, that will challenge my thinking. I don't want someone who's just going to keep giving me the answer. And then like, oh, okay, I gave you the answer. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. That is so beautifully expressed, because it is so very true. That's what school does. And when students come to me for an answer and I say to them, no, I want you to do it and come back, right? The first thing they say, because they've been so programmed, oh, miss, you don't know the answer. Really? I said, no. I said, I want you to go and find the answer and come back and we expand on it. But because they're so used to be given it, when you actually do that with them, it's like, miss, why don't you just, even up to yesterday, I had a lesson, the student said, miss, why don't you just give us the answer? I said, hell no. I said, you need to go and research and come back to me. I said, and when you come back to me, we discuss it, I would give you my input so we could expand on it. I said, but first of all, you need to go and research and find the answer. I said, when you find the answer, I want you to bring it to me with a live example. I said, do you know what I mean by live example? Yes, I do. I said, okay, support it with contemporary examples. I said, because my role as a teacher is to actually empower you to be critical thinker.
Absolutely.
Which the school is. I said, you need to be a critical thinker. I said, I don't want you to be a sponge, because right now what you're saying to me is you want to be a sponge, sit there, just up, and then I pour it into you. No. And I'm afraid that's what school is doing. Schools are making children become sponges instead of becoming critical thinkers. Absolutely. And it's quite sad.
It is. And it, even when it comes to their basic needs, like you can see it when you're home, because I have one of my children, she's older now, and she would always ask, like, Mom, what are you cooking for dinner? And I'm like, or she would say, Mom, I'm hungry. Okay. What are you fixing for dinner? You said you're hungry. So if you can't go get yourself something to eat, that's a problem, because I'm not always going to be around to feed you. So what, you going to always wait for someone to feed you? Is that what you plan on doing? I'm not doing that. You know, now, you know, thank God she got out of that quick. But, you know, the other children, they already know, if we hungry, we got to figure out how we're going to cook for ourselves, you know, manage our space, because that's your space. Your bedroom is your space. You want to live sloppily? Understand this is what comes with it. So when you do go and get your home, you want to live sloppily, that's what comes with it. But, you know, it's just even getting them to understand the basics, you know, that is very, very important. But that critical thinking piece, that has to be implemented. Ask one of your friends. Most likely the friend will give them the answer, most likely. Or it is, I'm going to purposely give you the wrong answer. I'm not going to tell you. And I've done that as a home educator. I've done that. I purposely have given my child the wrong answer so she can look it up. So it's a win-win for me, right? It's a win-win. I got you to look it up, which that was the goal, to get you to research, to get you to start looking up things, because you can't depend on people to always give you the information that you need on your journey. I'm here to guide you, baby. I'm not here to cater and, you know, coddle you. I'm here to bring out the best in you. I'm helping you open those brain portals. So now that brain portal is open and you can receive more information. That's what I want.
Thank you. That is so powerful. Do you use a curriculum?
We use one curriculum, and that's for math. So we do use one curriculum. Everything else is catered to the child. We do use basic foundational secular books, but everything else we just pull in and piecing together. No, yeah. Well, this year we kind of did two. I'll take that back. So we do have one for math, and we are using one for biology. but it's not really a biology that's really a deep dive. It's just really a surface. So it's like presenting information, then we have to add to it.
Right.
We have to deep dive. It's not
Right.
like, oh, it's a big curriculum that is giving you all the information to do. I didn't want anything like that because I want her to research it. So we just use it as a shell, so to speak. And that's for the science. Now the math, because she's a mathy kid and mom is, okay, all right. My mind has to, that time travel, I got to take myself way back and whew, that doesn't work. So we do use a math curriculum, which I did purchase the videos. So I will watch it, or we'll watch it together to jog my memory. And then we just keep moving forward because she's a math kid and she thinks like this when it comes to math, and I'm still at step 1. But it works, right? Because the good thing about that is I don't need to know it.
Exactly.
I found a resource that will teach my child where she is. And like I said, I learned beside her. And that's the beauty of it. She doesn't need to know that I know or don't know everything. She's not like, oh, mom, you don't know that because you 52 years old. She's not like that. She's like, well, let's do it together. I'm cool. Like, yeah, there's no ego here. I'm gonna sit here, you're 12, and we just gonna learn this thing together.
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty. The learning together is the most beautiful thing, because so many things that you don't know, she would teach you. And I keep on saying to my students that they are my teacher. And then look, anytime I go to a school and I say that, the students look at me as if, but Miss, you're the teacher. I say, yes, I'm the teacher, but you are also my teacher. Because guess what? I'm learning a lot from you. And they say, nobody has ever said that. I said, because it's a fact. I say, I'm going to own it because I've got no ego. The fact is, you are my student. Yes, I'm your teacher, but you are also my teacher, because there's so many things that I did not know and you've actually teaching me. And I'm saying, thank you for that.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what I tell a lot of my homeschool families. Listen, when you're on this journey, you will get to a place where you see them as now you're the student and they're the teacher. And that's fine, because understand, yes, you're in a position where you can bring the wisdom that goes along with that. You can bring the experience that goes along with it, because you are older and you have wisdom, you have more knowledge, you have more experience, but you're not overpowering them, you're still guiding them. But it's beautiful that they can teach you as well on the journey. So that part is, that's gold. That's because now you could teach anybody.
Exactly. And it's important, so important. Another thing is, do you have any external input?
Repeat your question. I'm sorry, dear.
Do you have any external input in terms of her homeschooling? Do you have, I know some homeschoolers, they might have a tutor to come in, or they might have her to do online session. Do you have any of those things?
We have used outside resources. We have used outside resources that do come in. Like we had, my daughter was learning, she wanted to learn how to sign, right? So there's a friend of mine, she wanted to sign. So there was someone who recommended someone who taught sign language, right? So we went with that particular person. But then as we were going along, it just dawned on me, like the light bulb went off, and it's like, you need to tap into someone who is in the deaf community. You have, and if you want because my daughter was really getting into it at that time. It wasn't just, oh, I think I want to do it. Said, okay, we're just going to get some books and you can watch some videos. But she just kept going on and on and on with it. And I'm like, we had a conversation and she's like, no, I love this. I think I want to learn more. So then when I see that she's really deeply going into something, then I will add on to it, right? It's like, you know, as parents, our kids are like, oh, I want to learn how to play the violin. And we're now going out and getting lessons and classes. And we're just, oh my gosh, I'm gonna send you to violin class and blah, blah, blah. And then when your kid is no longer interested, then on the back end, we're like, but I sent you and I got you all these classes. But that's not what they really wanted. Maybe they just wanted to tweak with it and just figure out what it was. And if they love it, you know, so we have to step back and let them guide us on how far they really want to take the interest. So going back to my daughter in the signing, she wanted to keep going and she was really getting into it because she was watching YouTubes and she was watching people sign and doing all the things. And we had a conversation and I was like, well, what if I find someone who is actually in the deaf community? And she was like, oh my gosh, that will be great. So we found someone and she's deaf. She's a wonderful friend. She's deaf and she has children who aren't deaf, right? So we linked up with her and we logged in and she taught my daughter signing online, right? So it was just like this. We went on Zoom and she would just teach her. And it was just a beautiful thing because now you're teaching you're getting this understanding from someone who's in the culture. So you're not just learning the signs, but you're really learning how to communicate in the culture. So we, from that experience, there's a young lady, she works at Petco. And we went there one day and she had her sign on. She said she was hard of hearing. So her and my daughter were literally communicating. She was a cashier. They were communicating through signing. And it was, only thing I could do was stand back in awe, like opportunities will present themselves. It was beautiful. So we do people outside because I think community building is imperative for human beings, whether you're in a school system or you're in a homeschool setting. Making connections with people in community in the direction that you're going is big. You know, even as adults, I need to find someone who's doing it, the thing that I'm interested in doing.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, it's like the connection is beautiful. It's beautiful. And final question, what tips can you give anybody who are on this journey, have anxiety, is uncertain, or want to be on the journey? What tips would you give them? 3 or more tips, please.
Okay. First tip, relax. Relax. You don't have to know it all. That would be my second tip, I guess. You don't have to know it all. We live in a global society where there are resources that can help you. Consistency is really the key. Staying consistent. Want this journey really to work? Be consistent and be in tune and in touch with experiences, because learning is always happening. Regardless of the style of homeschooling, because there's numerous styles of homeschooling. But there's, you know, some people use a curriculum, some don't. So if you do, consistency, be consistent. No one said that you have to have a schedule. We're getting up at 8, we're doing this at 10, we're doing this at 12. just do it,
Mhm.
right? So it's just the doing it. You know, then you have more people that are unschoolers and they don't use curriculum, and the world is their teacher, and they just live life and
Mhm.
gravitate to whatever is in the moment, and they build upon it. But that's staying in tune and in touch with connection and building.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, so you don't have to know it all. You can
Mhm.
relax, find a community,
Mhm.
be a good tip as well. Find a homeschool community, because
Mhm.
there are people out here that have done it,
Mhm.
that are doing it, or
Mhm.
who have, you know, want to do it as well. And
Yes.
they may be nervous.
Yeah.
And it-
Yeah.
It's okay. Everybody had to start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to know it all. And you're going to change throughout the journey. You may
Mhm.
be this type at the beginning, and then you're going to switch, and you're going to switch again.
Mhm.
As your child grows, they are your guide. They're going
Yeah.
to tell you their needs, their wants, their desires, and you just really have to be in tune. And relationship is the number one thing.
Mhm.
Always want the relationship. Nothing is more important than the relationship. Academia will come, all of that stuff will come, but to build that relationship with that child is
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you so very much, Tanya. One of the beautiful things that you hammer on is the relationship. And I think it is so important that we foster relationship, because the more we foster the relationship, the more we are going to be able to feel when there is something wrong with a child and be able to help them to navigate. But if we don't have a relationship with them, which means that we lose them completely, they're in their own little world, we cannot connect with them. And it's interesting because one student I was talking to this morning, she said, Miss, when you started, you were so strict. Now we are friends. You should have started that before. I said, what do you mean? I said, we're not friends. She said, yes, miss, we're friends because I know you a lot better now. And he's like, she's really know the whole lot. And I stood there
right,
just
right.
laughing.
Yeah, because there's a thing that my husband always says, babe, when I first met you, you always had the saying, it's easier to go from hard to soft than soft to hard. And he said, you always say that, and I didn't really get it. But now I understand it's easier to go from hard to soft than
Yeah.
soft to hard. You know,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
It's interesting. That's I'm going to throw it to them on Monday because they keep on saying, Miss, when you start, you were so strict, you know. And one of them said to me, I really hated you. And I must not laugh.
Right.
I said to her, I know you did. I said, because I was saying hello to you and you give me this attitude on the corridor. It's like in the classroom, she was giving me this attitude. I call her name out, and that's not the name she wanted to be called. That's not the name she wanted to be used. And she looked at me and she kept repeating the name she wants. I said, hold on, I'm just reading what's on the register.
Right.
And it's interesting that, today when we were talking, it's like, Miss, you're not as strict and hard as you started with, and I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah, because if you were started off soft, then they feel like, oh, I'm gonna get over on her and I can do
Exactly.
but it's not hard is not being a tyrant. It's not, that's not what we're meaning. It is I'm more stern, my boundaries are harder,
Yeah.
more firm.
Yeah.
And now that we can build a relationship, now, okay, I feel comfortable in navigating the boundaries differently. You feel comfortable navigating the boundaries differently, but understand, I can go back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because you homing in terms of connection and communication, and those are so powerful, and those get lost within the education system.
Yeah. Because I want, it's the trust. I need you to trust me, right? I really sincerely hold your best interest in me
Yeah.
as a human being to another human being. yes, I have to present you with information, for academic purposes,
Yeah.
but I want you to know I care about you. I genuinely care about you as a living being person who has needs other than me trying to introduce this information to you. This is just information. You probably get more information on TikTok that you could probably use, but you're here, you're here.
Yeah.
And I want you to be able to trust me and vice versa, because I can learn something from you as well as you learning something from me.
Yeah.
I always want you to be transparent with me, because that's something as adults that we aren't with children. Is transparent, right? Listen, I've been where you are, young person. I haven't been where I am yet, but I've been where you are.
Yeah.
And I've thought like you've thought.
Yeah.
I just may not have acted upon them, but I've thought like you thought. Right. So it's the transparency and the truthfulness aspect that they need to see us as adults. Where, okay, you're a cool adult. You know how the language and the terminology.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm transparent with you.
Yeah.
I want to be the educator that when you're 50 years old and they say, do you remember anybody? Oh, I remember Miss Tanya. She was blah, blah, blah. I want, when someone speaks of my name, I want it to bring you a feel good, comforting feeling in you. Like she loved me so much. I didn't realize she really had my best interest. Even when I was going through blah, 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 but she saw me. She heard me. She felt me. She received me. That is more important than all the other things that need to be, So, sorry.
Well, no, that's so fantastic. It's like you are talking, right? And I'm sitting here back into my classroom with my students. Because something another group said to me as well, Miss, you really understand us as children because you are on our side. I said, because I have children myself and I was where you were.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because, this morning we had a church service in the afternoon. So I had 2 sets of lessons in the morning. And the first group, say in terms of I was hard, etc. And the other group said to me, Miss, you're really on our side. And I was just standing there listening to them. I say, on your side? What do you mean by this? Yes, Miss, you understand us.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just those victories, even for us, that make our day.
Yeah.
Right. I've really connected with the students today. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I because it's not all the time that I'm going to be able to do this, but today was a win.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is so very true, because there's some of them, it's like last week I went to my head of department, I said, you know what? I'm not connecting with this group of students. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I cannot, I said, I cannot teach them anymore. I don't know what to do. I said, help me. And she started looking at me laughing, right? I said to her, because I'm not connecting. I said, I thought I got it sorted. They were so chatty, they did not work. And then I saw them on the corridor, which was really odd, because my colleague and I share the class. So she's now teaching more of the class. And the student said, Miss, are you going to come back? I said, come back? When I was there, you guys were not even connected. Miss, you won't believe it. We did learn, I said, really? And it was interesting because I'm looking at them and I'm laughing at them in the corridor. And I'm saying to them, what do you mean you did learn? I said, you guys spent time chatting away. And when I finished, I said, when I finish with you guys, I am so exhausted. I said, I just want to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And they're just laughing. I said, because you guys don't know how to stop talking. And they keep on
saying, their energy is so up here. Their energy is way up here. And it's like, oh my God, I'm consuming too much.
Yeah.
But they really are listening, and they really do value people who value them.
Yeah, it's amazing, because they're now telling me that, Miss, are you going to come back? I said, you guys don't understand. I said, you guys don't understand. I said, I could, even up to today, I saw some of them and I said, I couldn't teach you guys. Miss, what do you mean? I said, because I was losing the battle. You guys were constantly talking and they keep on reassuring me, Miss, we learned this and they're telling me what they learned. And I stood in the corridor outside the library, right? And I'm looking at them just before lunchtime and I'm laughing. I said, what do you mean? I said, you learned that? You sure I taught you that?
Right.
And they said, yes, Miss. I said, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And it's interesting because that group of students, it doesn't matter where they see me. It's like I'm going up the stairs with my pile of books and they see me and they're shouting me in the corridor. I said, what are you shouting me like this for? And they actually come in and meet me to say hello. I said, don't understand.
That's love. That's love. That's the human aspect of love. Like you actually connected with, you saw me. Yeah. Even though I might have been doing my behavioral things and all the things, and I know I probably got on your nerves and all that, you actually saw me. You took the time to actually be present with me. You know, so then when I see you out somewhere and it could be across the other side of the school, it's like, oh, Miss, because you cared about me.
That is so interesting because I was saying that to my colleague yesterday. I said to her, I'm running to the train station. All I'm hearing, Missy. I think, really? And it's like, they're shouting me and I have to stop and say, what is wrong with you guys? It's so amazing that this is one of the schools I've been in where the students are seeing me everywhere and they're just shouting out my name. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And there's sometimes their kids see teacher and they're like, I'm not talking to that person. You might be in the grocery store and they're like, nope, I'm not even going to talk to them because I don't even like them. But you left a great impression upon the children because it's the connection that you take the time for these human beings because, you know, you actually showed them love, right? In this space where it's not really given, you know, we just send them there and that's what they do and blah, blah, blah. But wow, you actually brought love there too.
It's interesting though, because as you were talking, I was just thinking, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, there was a real connection because even today I keep on saying to them, I don't know what you guys are talking about, you know, because you guys never listen. And I keep on saying, yes, Miss, we did. And I said, well, how could you?
They told you exactly what you taught them.
Yeah.
You know, they told you, this is what you should know, this is what we learned from you and this and that and that. But they had to process it the way they processed it.
Yeah.
And they told you exactly what they learned. Like, I'm winning out here. Like, you know, even when you have your bad moments, those things, that experience will come back and be like, it's just a moment. It's just a moment in time.
It's just really interesting because that group, you know, everywhere I see them, I don't teach them anymore. Everywhere I see them, you know, it's like other teachers, they're shouting me from one end of the corridor and other teachers in between looking to see who is their calling. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. And it's like some of them are waiting on the line of the corridor, right? They're hanging on the rails, waiting for me to pass. And I said, you guys don't have lessons to go to. Yes, Miss, but we just said hello.
We just want to say hello. We have to see you and say hi. That's a beautiful thing.
It's just really this particular school and this particular group. I'm thinking, oh, what's wrong with you children?
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's just interesting. And when you talk about connection, when I see them next week, because I see that I no longer teach them in the class, so I still have to mark their work, but I see them on the corridor and we have some engagement. So when I see them on the corridor next week, I'm going to say to them, you know, this is about connection. I didn't realize I connected so well with you.
Right. Because even when I used to substitute teach many years ago in the middle school, and I did it because my 27-year-old, it was with her friends at the time. And I was substitute teaching at the time. This is before my youngest daughter was born. And I would go in there, and you know how they treat substitute teachers,
I know.
right? They just see that you're a sub, and they just want to do what children do to sub. All I wanted to do, I already knew how I was going to approach it. I already knew what was going to happen, but it was just take attendance. What happens after attendance, happens after attendance, right? But it was, after you take attendance, have a conversation with them. Come into their world, because it's very rare that the adult that's in there, in that room with those children, actually come into their world and have a conversation. So we will rearrange the chairs into like circle, and we would just have conversations about things. It wasn't anything really personal. It was, let them get off what they need to get off. And then as we're having conversation, oh, this is the lesson that you need to do, and you just throw it in the conversation. They don't even catch that you're actually throwing the lesson in with it, because now they trusted you to have a conversation with you. So now we're done. Class is almost over, fix the desk, boom, we're done. So like you said, when they see me in the hall, they were like, Miss Tanya, you subbing for us today? You coming in the class for us today? It was, sometimes you have to step into their world. You know, and then even with homeschooling, sometimes I had to step into my children's world, because it's not about me all the time. It is about them and their journey. I want you to speak life to me and speak life to me about your journey, because I want to hear the direction you're going in, where you may be confused. So let's have a conversation about it. And in this space, we do a lot of conversation, like I said, and it's a beautiful thing, because I want to meet that human being where they are. They don't have to be up here, and they don't have to be down here. And there is not even an up or down space for you to be. I just want you to be. And I want to embrace the being of you, the being aspect, the present aspect of you. You don't have to be, even when my younger daughter looks at her older siblings, I don't want you to be your older siblings. I want you to be you with your siblings. And they can learn from you, and you learn from them. And it's a beautiful connection that you all are different, but we created this family, this unique family that operates and works together, that we can pass down all this that we have to the generations behind us, because that's big to us, passing down knowledge and sharing and love and all the things. So it's been a beautiful homeschool journey for us.
Yeah, you know, it really has been, listening to that. And it's like, you know, the power of is the connection and the communication. It have two C's. And those are two beautiful and powerful things. Tanya, thank you so very much. I could speak with you for days. It's just been such a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful conversation. And I do appreciate you for that. It's been great. It's been fantastic. Thank you so very much. Thank you, my Facebook audience, for listening on the home education journey. And two powerful things which Tanya have said, which reinforce in my head: the conversation and connection. Communication and connection, those are two powerful things. Whether or not you're homeschooling, home educating, you're a teacher or otherwise, these are two powerful things you must always have with your children, you know, with young people. The connection and the communication, those are two fantastic things that will actually help them in terms of identifying who they are, also feel that they're being valued. Because when you communicate with them, you are listening to them. They feel that what they have to say is important, even though you might think, oh my goodness, not again. They don't need to know that. That's in your head. You just spend the time communicating with them, and that connection is beautiful. And through our conversation just now with Tanya, it actually made me realize that as much as I saw my year 10 as a pain, I was connecting with them. That's the reason why everywhere they see me, they're beginning to shout me. They see me on the street and it's like, Miss Eno, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness gracious. Because they seem to feel that I'm able to connect with them. I never thought I connected with young people. And I said that to one of my young ex-students yesterday. I said to her yesterday, I said, I never thought I connected with young people, I said, I never thought I did, but I say, I obviously do. Because they seem to find that, they said, oh, Miss, you understand us. Really? You guys are a pain in the butt. I didn't realize I understand you. But obviously I do. I never thought I connected with young people, to be honest about it. But it seems to be I am really connected with young people, so that, that probably is my space. You remember just now, Tanya, we were talking about, we asking young people what they want to be and what they want to do at 16, 17, right? Now I'm realizing. Now I'm realizing.
Exactly. It is exactly.
Exactly. Now I'm realizing, after I've been teaching for about 30 years, I realize that I'm now connecting with young people, right? That's funny, I tell you. So thank you very, very much. Thank you, my Facebook people. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with Female Educator Roundtable, where I'll be speaking to a female educator. Take care, stay blessed, have a fantastic evening, night, morning, where you are, and I'll see you.